Hey, we're back, everyone, doing it again on Play It Forward. We have today Roni Geva.
Roni Geva.
Okay, I tried, and that's why we'll try again. Roni Geva. And Roni, are you with or without the glasses? Without. Okay. Hey, Roni. Roni Geva, all right, indicating who she is quite clearly. And Margaret Katch.
Correct. Well played. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Much more straightforward. Also,
what's that, Roni?
Much more straightforward.
Easier name.
Straightforward. No, I appreciate it. I mean, with a guy with a name like Konstantin Rubchinsky, like, like just whatever. On New York City driver's license, it actually says K Rubchinsky because they couldn't get, the whole thing. Yeah. So,
oh, man.
Yeah, true story. Wonderful. Anyway, so you guys were both nominated by Jessica Silvetti and Ethan Cogan. Yeah. And their film was In Absentia, featured just on the Play Forward Before Last. And you guys made a movie about, and you're both writer, director, and actors. And you made a movie, you made a web series called Ctrl Alt Delete about abortion, and apparently you both had ones. I feel kind of slightly, I guess that's why you made the movie, because I feel like almost taboo. I don't want to bring out the fact that you guys had abortions.
Why? Let's talk about it.
We talk about it all the time.
Cool. Obviously, that was the point of the film, so or the web series. So I'll let you guys just briefly introduce yourselves if you'd like to add anything, about like what brings you to filmmaking, or where you're at in your lives, or anything going on with the boxes behind you. Are you guys?
Oh, well, that's a simple one. My husband's father died, and that's all of his crap. So going through it slowly. So that's the box story. Good time.
Awesome. I love it. It feels like it's going to be a really great show. We're starting off with death and abortion. So like those are two big life and death experiences.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm Margaret Katch, and it's so funny to start my story without being like,
and I'm Roni Geva.
Because we kind of do everything together. And when we talk, when we give interviews, it's always kind of a very much back and forth thing. So starting solo makes me be like, oh my goodness, where's my wing woman, my work wife? So we're both, then I'm going to start talking about we, and then we can just go back and forth.
Yes.
So we're both from Chicago, although Roni is originally from Tel Aviv. But we met in Chicago at our side job 8 years ago. And then we both moved to LA about 4.5 years ago. And we're actors. That's what we've been trained in. That's what we have our schmancy degrees in that cost way too much money that we're still paying off. And so when we moved out here to LA, we both really wanted to start making our own work just to showcase ourselves as actors. So we decided to just shoot something fun on our iPhones and keep it really low budget. We did not end up shooting it on an iPhone. It ended up being on a schmancy camera.
Because we have schmancy friends.
And we had a small crew, and it went really well.
And it got accepted into a festival right away. And one of the things that was really interesting about that process is that while Margaret comes from a strictly acting and directing background, I come from a sketch comedy background. So I studied classical theater, but then in Chicago did the whole IO, Second City, Annoyance, the whole shebang, and really got my sketch writing on. And so
I really did not.
And so when Margaret said, hey, let's just write something, for me, it was pretty easy to say, oh, okay, great, and pull out, my laptop and start typing. What I got most excited about when I started working with Margaret was this mind melt thing that we have where I was writing and then she would literally rip the laptop off of me and put it in her lap and be like, wait, no, let's make the sentence this. So much so that when we started collaborating on Ctrl Alt Delete, and when we watch the final product and we're in an audience and people are laughing, she'll nudge me like, hey, that joke really landed, good job. And I'll say, no, I actually think you wrote that one. And we have no idea who wrote it.
And it doesn't matter. We also don't care who wrote it.
That's true.
Yeah. So it really is that, like, I'd say usually, not always, but usually I kind of come up with the
macro.
Roni fills it all in, and then I edit the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
that's awesome, guys. So you have a really great collaboration. I can see that. You guys are both super cute together. And on this show, we want to kind of go beyond that. And it's not really about, our first question is why, right? So the question of why is really, what was, as artists, your emotional why, reason for doing this? And, most filmmakers, when I talk to them, the very first thing they say is, we're doing this to get recognized. And that's really the common story. And, you guys have definitely achieved the level of professionalism and a level of experience that you have a maturity, around that process. And then, most filmmakers kind of hit that ceiling. Everybody wants to do this as a full-time career and quit their, day jobs, whatever. And it really is not about the talent. It's really about, you guys are at that point where you can make, content for different platforms, and you're showing that off, but you chose to make content about specifically abortions. So, to get to that like deep why as artists, because that's what you are first, right? You're marketers and all that later. But
so
artists,
our why is because we want to change the conversation around abortion. We want to actually change the world, like legit
change the world
through art.
So it was interesting. Last night I was having this conversation about why do you do what you do? It was literally just, why do you do what you do? And I started crying because I love connecting human beings through storytelling. I love it so much. It's like every molecular part of my body is bursting into flames because I love it so much. And when Margaret said, let's make a web series, and I said, what do you want it to be about? And she said, abortion. I was so lit up because when we both had our abortions separately, obviously, before we even knew each other, we looked to the media. We really did. I remember being like, where are all the abortion stories, internet? And there weren't any that were like mine.
They're all very similar. For the most part, they're all teenagers. All the stories that have been made through the media are, and now it's shifting a little bit, but back then it was just like a teenager who would really struggle about whether or not to have an abortion and would end up having the baby. It was super fraught, and that was just not either of our experience at all.
And so as we were talking about it, we realized that, well, Margaret had been very open about her abortion the whole time, but I hadn't. And I'd not told my parents, not because they would have been mad, but because it was poor timing. And then it was like, how do you bring it up? Like, hey, pass the salt. Also, I had an abortion 5 years ago. Like,
right.
That's just,
although one of our older mentors was having lunch with Roni.
Oh my gosh. And she really did say, pass the salt. By the way, when I had my abortion, and I was like, look, that's amazing. When Margaret said, let's make this so that people can talk about it, it made me so excited because A, that's why I make art, and B, because that's why Margaret makes art, and C, because I truly believe that through art and through comedy, especially through comedy, you really can make a change in the world's conversation about a topic, which then leads to eventual political change and human change. So case in point, Will and Grace, right? I know, some people love it, some people hate it, whatever, I don't care. But Will and Grace.
I am loving the reboot.
I know.
Just so
I know. But I'm just saying, for years, all of a sudden, all of these closed-minded people who had never met a homosexual person in their life had those people coming into their living room every week and laughing about it.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the show. I think it's a man and a woman, but I guess it's about homosexuality.
Yeah, so he's gay and she's straight and they're best friends.
And they live
together. I see.
Yeah. And that really changed the conversation because suddenly everyone knew someone who was gay because they saw him on television all the time. So that really, really changed the conversation. Just like I Love Lucy back in the day changed the conversation about interracial couples because suddenly you just saw one and they were right there and they were funny and they had problems just like you did and they loved each other just like you. So comedy has a history of normalizing whatever people have a hard time talking about, whatever is shameful to someone. Comedy has a history of making that normal. And so that's exactly what we wanted to do with abortion, because at this point, 1 in 4 women under the age of 45 is going to have one. And yet nobody talks about it.
That's awesome. So you guys really saw an opportunity that was relevant in your own lives, and you thought you can, bring the conversation out into the public and help people be more open-minded and understanding, and just discuss it, and not so taboo.
Right. So, 61% of women who have an abortion already have kids. And that's a story that's almost never told. It's almost always a single woman. Even now, when they have people in their 20s and 30s who are having abortions on TV, it's almost always someone who's single and sleeping around. They have never shown somebody who already has kids.
In a committed relationship with kids that says, you know what? I'm not having this baby right now.
And that's 61% of women.
No, that's incredible, because that's my, if somebody says abortion, I think, okay, young single mother in a hard place. So
yeah, and that is a small percentage.
Yeah.
So we want to tell all the stories, because one of the stories is my friend's mother, who was 46 when she already had teenagers. She was 46 when she had her abortion. She didn't think she could get pregnant again. She did. She didn't want to have it. And so that's one of the stories that we thought was really important to tell, because you never hear that, ever.
Yeah. Well, that's great. You're absolutely right. And this brings us to our second question, which is going to go, the point of it is to try to go a little even deeper than the first one. And the question is, with words, it's what are you seeking as artists? And you talked about changing the world and connecting human beings. And I think, I certainly am passionate about that too. And I think a lot of human beings are, and certainly a lot of young people, and the challenges to preserve that as you age and, you confront disappointment and regret and all these things that happen as people mature and, time continues, and to overcome those and still preserve your values of wanting to change the world and your passion around that and your innocence around that. So what do you think it is you're seeking in that, with doing that, wanting to change the world,
What is that? What are we seeking in terms of the change we want to affect, or what are we seeking in terms of what that gives us personally?
Aha. What does that give you personally? It's the latter.
Okay.
Got it.
Thanks for the clarification.
So it's interesting, because being someone who's been politically active since I was a wee little child, I was creating my own little protests in high school and middle school because I'm that person. I find it incredibly satisfying just in itself, right? That without, of course, there's greater purpose and greater vision and all of that, absolutely. But just first off, basic answer, I find it incredibly, incredibly satisfying that we are subverting the conversation, and that we are allowing men and women from all over the world to watch this and then comment on our web series, because it's available on Facebook.
Facebook.com/Ctrl Alt Delete show, and Ctrl Alt Delete is spelled CTRLDELETE.
Don't worry, we'll share that with everyone. Don't worry.
But it allows those people to start having a conversation, and sometimes it's not a nice conversation, and sometimes it's a thoughtful conversation where. And so to little Roni, that little girl inside of me, wants to be political no matter what, and wants to march with my stick that says keep abortion legal. And I'm when people ask me, are you pro-choice, are you pro-life, I say I'm pro-woman, because I believe women are smart enough to make decisions for their own selves. And so that little girl inside of me is having the time of her life, because this is made, right? So that's just like a first level.
And Okay, and what is that? Like, so you're having a good time, right? So let's go beyond that. Why? Like, what's the satisfaction there? Is it bringing people together? Is it, you know, inspiration? Is it evolution? Is it? What is it doing for you? Why are you having such a good time?
Why am I having such a good time? Because I love making people think. I love presenting a new idea to someone and saying, hey, I know you've never thought about it this way, but now it's time for you to think about it this way. And guess who made you think that way? We did.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I think for me, my favorite thing in the world is to be surrounded by art that we made, that we came up, that is purposeful to us. So for me, the fact that this is what we are making gives me deep purpose. It feels like that is what I was meant to do. Is I am meant to create things that that change the conversation. I am meant to create things that nobody talks about, because that's the kind of stuff I've always found the most interesting, the stuff that people are ashamed by. That stuff, the fact that we can shine a light on that, and that I get to do that by being surrounded by so many other creative people, being surrounded by my writing and creative partner, being surrounded by then a cast of people that we chose, that with the crew that we chose, and then I, as the director, and Roni whispering in my ear, I get to shape that. I get to take all these things that we created, and I get to shape it and make it into something that I think is important. And to me, that is why I live. Like, that for me, if I wasn't doing that, then I wouldn't be living up to what I feel like is my purpose on this earth. So that's why I do it.
So Roni, I hear you talking about ideas and having people have new ideas, and you inspiring new ideas. And Margaret, I hear you talking about you know, the purpose of creating and the creative act, and all the different variables that go into taking something out of your head and putting a vision into action and a tangible product that translates those ideas that you have, and the thrill of that, and the purpose driven awareness that you have around that. So that's really cool, and I definitely can connect with that. And I think most people that watch this, whether they're, you know, quote unquote artists or whatever it is, they're even their day jobs, if they have the flexibility of making choices to drive action that brings things to a place of fruition, that's a real sense of purpose, and that's a wonderful thing to be able to do. So the last question is, how have you both as artists been changed, either on or off the set, and both?
Oh, wow.
Good one.
So I feel like we've both gotten so much better at communicating, both with each other and as leaders of a production, right? Because when you're in charge of the production, as the director, producer, co-director, co-writer, like all of it, you have to have great macro vision and then be able to distill that into tiny little bite-sized pieces that you can say to a gaffer, right? And so I think our communication skills have grown a ton.
And I think we've developed our shorthand with each other as well. So we don't usually when we're trying to communicate something to each other, we just have to look at each other. And so that's
helpful.
That's helpful. And that's how we've grown as a team as well. We don't usually need to do a full-on explanation to each other. And we're also we've really grown in terms of helping each other communicate to the people that we're talking to, whether it's the actors on set, whether it's the DP, whoever it is that we're talking to.
Big. I think that's a great point. Facilitating each other's communication. That's really important for people.
And I think we've also evolved as artists, as in now that we have made some projects together, when we consume other people's art, we're looking at it not just as viewers, we're looking at it with a technical eye of how did they make that shot? I really like that. Let's use that one time when we make our stuff.
like I've discovered I really like when things have a bluish cast. I love it. Roni doesn't.
I like it less.
She likes Roni,
I like bright.
She likes the more kind of sitcom colors, and I really like stuff like more like the Amelie. I mean, that's more green, I guess, but like I really enjoy more of that. So we've each developed our own kind of aesthetic, but then when you meld them, I think we actually get something even more special.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of it is, and again, it's about developing a clearer taste of what we like to make, and then watching lots of other artists make stuff and saying, oh, I like that. I like this. I'm going to keep that one. And sharing that with each other and saying, oh my gosh, have you seen, insert whatever movie, didn't you love how, and whether that's about screenwriting or it's about a camera move or it's about casting or it's about music, I feel like through this process, we've become better students of our art form.
And then I also think in terms of on a more personal level as well, not just creative, I think we both, and I guess I'll speak for myself and Roni can join in, but so I have found that I've always loved being in charge of things in making, but this has really shown me how it's my favorite thing. Making creative decisions is pretty much my favorite thing in the whole wide world, and it's given me the confidence, and I know Roni too, to really say we're doing something that we feel is worthwhile, and to have the confidence to be like, you can love it or not love it, but we feel like we're doing something that is important. And so like, enjoy, don't enjoy, do whatever you want. We don't really care because this is our thing. So I think, I know for me, my confidence and my need to please, I think, has gone down just because.
Your need to, what's that, please?
My need to please other people has gone down. And I love collaboration and I love other people's ideas, and I'm not really tied to mine. If I think someone else's idea is better, I'll totally take it. But my confidence and lack of desire to give other people what they want, and more in terms of what is it that we want to create, and that has grown for me.
And I think for me, yes, copy and paste, all of that. And then also add to it a sense of quiet assertion, right?
You're never quiet.
Well, I'm never quiet, but I'm assertive. And
well, I know what you mean. I totally know what you mean by quiet assertion. I mean, there's an energy within silence that allows you to stay connected to a higher consciousness that is very important throughout the creative process. Is that what you mean?
Yes. That sort of like, here I go. And it makes me feel like we're unstoppable. And that's a really cool feeling that, as you were saying, the ups and downs, the disappointments, the whatevers, yeah, sure, that's all happening. But we have so much assurance and vision in what we're doing that it feels, and that's a huge growing point, I believe, for both of us, that we feel so like
we see so clearly where
we're going, and we're stepping onto air knowing there's a beautiful bridge that's just taking us forward. But we're, we
can't see it yet.
We can't see it, but we're just stepping onto air with full faith. And that is sort of new, I think, for both of us to have that level of assurance. So
that's wonderful. I would like to ask, that bridge of faith, that walk of faith, I'm certainly familiar with it. And I ask myself often, if things don't turn, there's there's your labor, and then there's the fruits of your labor, and those two are different things. So the labor has this process that you're in, right? And then the fruits are something that at least I try not to attach myself to, in terms of whatever those fruits may be. And that one of the typical ones for people that are filmmakers looking to make this into whatever is considered professionalism, and it's generally meant I'm paid for this, and this is my gig, you know, if that professionalism or that thing doesn't come, do you feel that you can still walk the path of faith and be on that process just the same?
Yeah, I mean, I think that something that Roni and I both share is a level of commitment, and we're not good at quitting things. When we decide that we're going to do something, we just basically keep doing it forever. And that's just both of our personalities, and not everyone is like that. Some people are more like go from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing. And I think Roni and I are both, I feel very lucky that I am partnering with somebody who has that same level of, well, we're just going to do this forever, and then we're just going to keep going, because that's when we both decide we're going to do something. We just keep doing it.
And also, I don't know if you've ever read, there's a wonderful book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. Big Magic,
okay.
By Elizabeth Gilbert.
Uh-huh.
It's wonderful. It's a book for anyone, but really for artists. And one of my favorite things that she talks about is, if you're out there making beautiful art on canvas in your garage every day and no one ever sees it and you never sell a lick of it, that doesn't make you not an artist. You're an artist. You are walking that invisible bridge towards your destiny, which is being an artist. And whether or not anyone ever consumes or watches our stuff doesn't make the process of making it any less worthwhile.
And the making it is my favorite part. I mean, I think I do need to get better at celebrating our accomplishments and celebrate. Like, I'm not, and in the past, I have not been amazing at feeling joy when we accomplish something or when we get an award. For me, the greatest joy comes when we're actually in the moment making it, working. That's my favorite part. And that's what I have to do forever.
And I would say, I would give an example. So not this series about abortion, the previous little short film that we made, I think maybe 200 people total have ever seen it. Maybe 300. But like, it's not well
actually,
seen.
Although probably more than when we got into the Martha's Vineyard film fest, I mean, I think more people saw it there. So I think probably like 700 maybe.
Fine. Less than 1,000 people have seen this other film.
Not very many people at all.
And you know what? I think it's so good, and I love it so much, and I love that we made it.
And I loved making it.
And I loved
editing it. And like, one of my favorite parts was when we had our sound. We had this great guy who did sound for it, and I was sitting in the theater, like watching it on the big screen as he was adjusting the different little sound effects that he put in. And he's so talented. He's like this Emmy-winning guy, and I got to be like, okay, yeah, that's great. Can you actually make that a little bit louder over here, and then have it just gradual? Like, I got to take what he was doing, and I got to make it what I wanted. And that for me was maybe the most joyful thing of the entire process.
And here we are telling you legit that less than 1,000 people have seen it, or maybe will ever see it. And you know what? Did it diminish from the joy of us being artists who feel fulfilled and excited about our invisible bridge? No.
That's wonderful. That's awesome. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much for that. Roni, Margaret, it was an absolute pleasure. You guys both have your head in the right space, and no doubt keep walking that invisible bridge, and it will keep continuing to be a magical journey for you both.
So much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for yours, and we'll keep you posted on what's up here. And guys, for more, Ctrl Alt Delete, see all the links. And all right, it was a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in this week. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and leave us a like and or a comment. It makes a big difference. Play It Forward is brought to you by Digipops, where we're building a community to put film and filmmaker discovery in your hands. Here, filmmakers and fans, the creative class, recognizes each other fairly and transparently through a community-curated film festival each quarter. It's coming soon. Thank you.